Yes, welcome everyone to GeoHug. So before we kick off today's session, I'd just like to take this time to acknowledge the traditional lands which we're all coming from today. I'm here on the beautiful lands of the Gadigal, of the people of the Aurora Nation, and I'd like to pay my respect to the elders past, present and future. So yes, I'm so happy to have Udit Poddar joining us today. So Udit is a data scientist with 7 years experience in working with data assets in agriculture, infrastructure, healthcare, manufacturing, and the resources industry. And he is one of the founders of Grid, which was built in 2019 and has grown into a no-code platform used to build data management systems on the go. And today he'll be chatting with us about accelerating digital transformation with citizen development and no low code. So I hope you all enjoy it. Please use the chat. We'll open up the floor at the end for some discussions. And yes, thank you so much for joining us. It's awesome having you here.
Thank you so much, Jess. And thank you so much for the lovely session, Daniel. Hello, everyone. So I'm Udit, one of the founders of a platform called Grid. And I'll be talking about how can you accelerate your digital transformation journey with the concept of citizen development and no and low code. So to start with, of course, we're going to talk about one of the biggest buzzwords that has been around for a while now, which is digital transformation. And while doing research for this, for the talk, I came across this quote by Amit Zaveri, who's head of platforms at Google Cloud. And it says, think of digital transformation less as a technology project to be finished than as a state of perpetual agility, always ready to evolve, right? And a couple of points that I wanted to highlight here was, so digitization. So what he says is digitization is more than just a project. It's more than just, it's just an initiative, right? But it's a perpetual state of change that a company, that an organization or a team should adopt so that they can actually be pointed towards the right path and can take faster and better decisions. It's essentially more of a mindset and a change within an organization that brings in visibility and agility to work faster and work in a more efficient manner. So what is digital transformation, right? So let's first answer that question, what essentially means by digital transformation. It's not just digitization of plots. It's not just capturing data on digital platforms, but it's essentially integration of digital technologies in all aspects of your business, right? So we're not talking about just recording data digitally, say on a tablet or on a tough book here, but rather integrating digital technologies into all aspects of the businesses, right? So digitization starts with defining processes, which is important for business, which is important for taking better decisions for all kinds of processes, not just say logging or not just capturing the operational data, but essentially defining all kinds of business processes and integrating digital technologies in those. Then we're talking about people here. So with the ever-rising importance of ESG and a huge focus on health and safety and sustainability going forward, it is very, very critical digitization. It's very critical to capture data at a people level for efficiencies and safety, right? So we're bringing the processes together with the people and the tools and machineries that we're using in the industry. Again, digitization encompasses collecting data from the tools, with sensors, with IoT systems, with plots to track their efficiency, again, their maintenance and their safeties. So once we start integrating digital technologies into all aspects of businesses, that's when we actually truly achieve digital transformation. And it's an ever-evolving state within an organization, within a team, or within a business. So we've been working with lots of companies across different industries, right? And the way companies see digitization, digital transformation for that matter, is just digitizing one aspect of the business, and but that's not what the case actually is. So yeah, some key advantages of digital transformation. So we'll come to citizen development and no code, low code very soon. Once we just establish what digital transformation is, what are the core advantages and challenges that companies are facing today. But some of the key advantages of digital transformation today is enhanced operational efficiency. So what do we mean by enhanced operational efficiency, right? So there is a very famous quote by Peter Drucker that says you cannot improve what you don't measure. And unless you're measuring things right, unless you're measuring things in a more and more optimal and digital manner, efficiencies cannot be enhanced, right? So one of the key advantages of digital transformation is enhancing the operational efficiency across spectrum of business processes. Of course, once we're digital, once the data is available on fingertips, it leads to better discovery and cost reduction. People are not spending time in digitizing data, in cleaning them, in validating them, in referencing them back to masters and so on and so forth, which essentially leads to better utilization of hours and cost reduction and better discovery across various processes. Digitization also reduces human risk and creates a connected workforce. So connected workforce initiative is a big thing going on today. Again, digitization, when we spoke about incorporating people in the people's data in the digitization process, it means it leads to better visibility of people, better visibility of the resources on the field, and reduces human risk, right? Digitization also leads to readily available. It also means giving information back to people in a more proper and structured manner, which means people have access to various information, safety protocols and processes that they can take to actually monitor their task better. And of course, it leads to better visibility into business KPIs, right? So what do we mean by KPIs here? KPIs are key performance metrics. Now, let's say when we're running any program, any field initiative, the KPIs essentially define and identify how do we measure the efficiency for that particular program. And with digitization, since we're not spending a lot of time in collecting data, in digitizing data, in discovering that data, it leads better visibility into business KPIs, helps us identify areas that needs improvement and help us improve on those areas. When we talk about digital transformation, it's not just digitization of, say, cloths or paper forms, but how do we take that data, capture data from people and machines in a digital manner and drive better actions and decisions. We recently ran a survey with hundreds of people in the resources, hundreds of geologists, exploration managers, and other people involved in the resources industry, and 80% respondents responded that they want to use digital data collection and analysis tools, right? So there is still a need, there is still a want to actually capture data digitally. Not a lot of people are still doing it. Everyone is talking about it. And how do we get started with it? What are the key challenges? How can we proceed towards our digital transformation journey is what I'm going to talk about in the next few slides. So out of the responses that we got, 51% said that IT effort required in going digital or starting with digital transformation is stopping them from going digital, right? And 40.7% respondents responded that the costs of digitization were too high. There are too many processes and too many products and processes to be created. So how do we go about it? So in a nutshell, if we talk about digital transformation and the challenges that is stopping people from adopting digital technologies, the biggest one is IT effort that is required in setting those solutions. The cost of running, training, and managing solutions are high in traditional setups, which again prevents people from going digital. There are a lot of siloed processes that are running. When we talk about geology, when we talk about exploration, most of the times we're just talking about logging and sampling and mapping, right? But what about the other processes that go on in the field when, say, an exploration program is running, or when, say, any other field activities are running? So there are too many siloed processes. And if we actually want to go take the path of digital transformation, how do we digitize all of those processes together? Again, citizen development and no-code, low-code tools helps solving this problem. And then there is, of course, a change management and user training problem, right? So I was recently talking to someone and they said, whatever budgets we take for a digital program, we typically allocate 3x of it in change management, right? The huge amounts of effort that goes into user training, the huge amounts of effort that goes into into starting a digital transformation initiative is again a big hindrance to digital transformation today. So how do we solve these challenges? So this is what we're going to actually talk about in the next few minutes. How do we get across these challenges of digital transformation? And how do we take advantage of digital transformation with the concept of citizen development and no-code and low-code tools? So moving forward, some of the pertinent questions that we're gonna answer in this session today is how do you go about your digital transformation journey? Where do you start from? How can the challenges that we discuss be mitigated and managed? And how can you stay agile and be the change in your organization and start with your digital transformation journey? So the concept, so the topic of the talk today is accelerating digital transformation with citizen development, and we talk about what citizen development means first, and then how do we go about it, right? So the concept of citizen development has picked drastically in the recent times. And so what you're seeing here today is a Google Trends chart, right? And as we see since 2019, which is also when after which the pandemic struck, the citizen development has gained extreme interest with time globally, right? So we can see an upward trend in search volumes of citizen development on Google. We can see upward trend in search volumes of no-code, low-code tools. So yeah, this has been a movement. This has been an initiative since 2019, which is growing day by day. But what exactly is citizen development? What exactly is citizen development? So let's look into that. So citizen development is a business process change that encourages non-IT trained employees to actually build applications, right? And this can be done using IT sanctioned low-code, no-code tools, which enable any manager, any professional to actually design their own processes and launch data management or launch any kind of applications for that matter to digitize their business processes. We're not just talking about field processes here, but we're talking about a whole range of different processes that can be digitized using low-code, no-code tools today, right? And we'll look at some of them as well. So citizen development essentially means different teams have different champions that are actually building these digital solutions using just a visual editor, a visual builder, and they can empower their users to start managing their data, managing their work in a more digital manner. So if we see this diagram here, which was published by Gartner in October 2019, citizen development is powered by no-code and low-code tools and typically targets individuals or work groups and helps them digitize their key processes. Since the concept of citizen development has started, the no-code, low-code tools have actually evolved to an extent where even larger IT teams and enterprise IT teams are using these tools to build applications in a much faster manner and in a more flexible manner. So it's not just about work groups, or it is not just about individual managers using these tools to build applications, but it's also percolated into enterprise IT teams today. And that is driven mostly by the low-code tools, which means with very little coding, teams can actually launch applications. So we're not, with citizen development, we're not just limited to smaller processes or simpler processes, but in fact, teams can actually build complex business processes with logics, with monitoring solutions that require in monitoring those business processes, and can launch applications today. So to understand this better, let's look at, say, two exploration companies and the digitization stage, right? So the first uses 3 products for different processes. It's a very common problem today in the industry. Every time we speak to different people in the industry, we hear that they are using, say, 3 or 4 different products to manage their different processes, whether it be logging, their mapping, timesheets, health and safety, so many different processes that are required on field today. If there is a need for further digitization, if there is a need for further processes to be digitized, they typically outsource it to different teams to different IT teams, or they go and purchase more products, right? So typically a team would either be using 3 to 4 different products to actually digitize all their processes. And most of them don't integrate with each other. Most of them don't talk to each other. So there is no integratability of data between these products, right? And every time customizations or enhancements are needed, which is typically on a regular basis, because processes are evolving, businesses are evolving, field programs are evolving. They have to either go to the company that is looking to the product that is looking at that particular process, or they have to hire more IT teams to actually be able to build those processes together. So this is the most common stage of digital transformation that most companies are in today, and that is what has been changing since last 3 to 4 years. Is people are moving to a more unified platform. So let's look at a second company that uses, say, a low-code, no-code tool, or has citizen development initiatives running. They typically use a unified platform for their business metrics. All applications are created on that same platform, and users are entering information or collecting data on a single platform for all kinds of different processes, or most of the business processes together, right? If a company if an organization or a team has taken the initiative of citizen development, it is typically the managers, the users, or even the IT teams building and delivering solutions on these products, right? So we're talking about rapid digitization here, where any process that needs to be created can be created, if not in minutes, in a few hours, and it can be given to the users for testing. So that's what the second organization does. And customizations, process enhancements are set in according to internal practices, and they evolve as organizations evolve, right? So we're looking at two different scenarios of digital transformation, where one is led by traditional IT or CAN softwares, and the other is led by citizen development and no-code, low-code tools. And then there are, again, organizations that have not started their digital transformation initiatives and are in a stage where they can actually start with unified platforms, and they can start digitizing their processes together. So when we're talking about the first kind of company, where we're talking about traditional and canned softwares, the typical word that I like to use is that they're stuck with some softwares that have generally feature overload, bloated functionalities that aren't used often, because people typically want lean processes, agile processes, and digitized. People typically are adopting lean and agile processes today, and they want digitization of that particular process on the platform. They're typically using multiple software packages to manage various aspects of work. So for example, drilling and monitoring, then there is timesheets and employee induction, health and safety, sampling and mapping. So all of these happening in, say, 2 or 3 different products. Typically, there are long change management cycles. There are set processes that need to be adapted in the company, in the organization, in the team. They have constantly increasing software spends, again, using multiple softwares, going to multiple IT teams to get the software packages up and running. And then what this also leads to is data silos and lack of data integrations that I've just spoken about, right? We're moving in a world where most modern products and modern technology stack allows or enables integration with different products together, which means data entered from the field can directly go to a database, and from there immediately to, say, a modeling software within no time with those integrations. And mostly canned softwares in traditional IT don't have readily available APIs, which leads to data being stuck in that particular system. And then there's the entire process of exporting data, massaging it, and then uploading it onto different solutions for further visualizations and decision making. So this is what the traditional canned softwares do. And this is what we meant by the first company that is running too many silos and too many data projects, or say different programs together, right? So this is, again, what helps no-code, low-code platforms helps us in reducing or in eliminating. So if we talk about, again, citizen development versus traditional software development, so this is a chart that depicts the typical process. So in traditional software development, or if we talk about say adopting one software for one particular process, the requirements are typically identified, developers are briefed, and processes are mapped. Then specifications are identified. Then it goes in development phase. Once the first version is developed, it goes to the users for user training, for user feedback. Then it goes to another phase of development, and this cycle can go on for 3, 4, 5, even 10 times. And then once the software for that particular process it passes the user testing, it goes and it gets deployed. If any enhancement, any changes are required in the software, the same development team is often reached out to, and they start with another development session, which goes to the same cycle, right? So that is what traditional software development looks like. But when we talk about citizen development, and especially for leaner teams and processes, what happens is once the requirements are identified, the internal champion or the internal tool manager can just build it on the go. It goes to the team for user feedback immediately. And once the feedback comes in, the changes can be done in a much lesser time, right? So what we're doing here in citizen development is we're creating internal developers who are delivering solutions. We're reducing the time that is needed in developing and focusing more on user acceptance and change management and feedback. Once that happens, we're actually changing we're changing the build process according to the feedback and then retraining the users on it, right? So what this does is it reduces the development time by over 60%, and focuses more on making sure that the user feedback is integrated within the platform, is integrated within the process, which leads to higher user acceptance and better adoption of digital technologies, right? So that's what citizen development. So that's the difference between citizen development and traditional software development. It leads to faster, as I've mentioned, it leads to faster development time, quicker upgrade cycle, which is more important, and more time to test with fewer bugs, and significantly cheaper and with lesser time to deploy. What citizen development also helps then do is, let's say if a particular process has been digitized or a particular process has been built, and the business is and the teams have already started using the product, if there is any change that is needed, if there is any evolution of that process is needed, it can be done by the same internal users on the platform. It can be tested and can go live in a much lesser duration, right? So we're not going back to the teams that had built the software in the first place, that had coded the software in the first place, but doing all things internally. In our experience, what we've also seen is once organizations start on a journey of citizen development with a couple of processes in mind, and the tools are adopted by the users, the number of processes, the number of digital transformation initiatives drastically grow up within 2 to 3 months of adoption of that product, right? Because people can start thinking, there is a change in the mindset that if a new process comes up, how do we do that digitally on, say, a particular product that we already know? So the adoption of technology and digital initiatives within different teams and within different processes increase drastically as these tools are adopted, or as citizen development is adopted within a team or within an organization. So the concept of citizen development is not new, right? And just revisiting it enables users, managers ideate and deliver technology solutions for the teams without relying on a lot of external help. And citizen development has been around for a while for various business needs, right? A lot of us have heard of Power BI, Tableau, and other data visualization tools. So what these tools do is they help teams, they help people be citizen data scientists or citizen data managers, right? Because they can visualize data on their own. You don't have to code anymore to actually create, say, a graph or a chart. Another example of citizen development that has been there for a while is email automation. Earlier, when marketing teams earlier marketing teams to shoot out bulk emails had to go to the IT teams, create a email format, say coded in HTML, and then send it out to their users or to their prospects. With products like MailChimp and Sendinblue being there for a while now, that entire power of automating email marketing emails, designing those email, is now lies with the marketing team. That leads in a much more faster execution. So these are all examples of citizen development that has been there for a while with different teams that exist, right? Similarly, website development and website evolution is one of the key areas that businesses focus on today, so that they can actually be ahead in the curve and they can talk about their work to people in a more efficient and faster manner. Website development, I mean, it's been there for a while, and every time companies wanted to build website, they had to go to a web developer to get a website done, right? Today with WordPress and Wix, this can actually be done with internal teams itself. Content and design teams can actually create websites and they can launch them with the help of these no-code tools that are available for website development. So citizen development and no-code, low-code tools have been there for a while, and different business teams, different teams have been adopting products for their processes. So when we talk about citizen development, when we talk about low-code, no-code tools, we're not just talking about field processes here. We're not talking about programs, but we're talking about business as a whole, how different products that are catered for different business functions can be adopted and more power can be given to the business users rather than them relying on external help for doing small things, right? And now let's talk about citizen development and why resources sector is supposed to have maximum advantage from citizen development today. The industry has hundreds of processes that are unique to each person, that are unique to each team, and no software fits all, right? I mean, no software can actually, or no CAN software can actually give you the results or your requirements. They don't have all of them available in their platform. Most softwares don't configure it according to the processes that you have, right? So while there are so many different unique processes and unique ways of doing things together, unique ways of doing things in the industry, citizen development can actually be adopted by the resources industry in a much faster manner. And these are the reasons why, right? The industry has always been very, very data oriented. Data collection has always been there, of course. It's the bread and butter of resource discovery, and well-defined data structures exist within various processes already. The teams and the professionals are much more acquainted with coding languages like SQL, which essentially helps companies understand data structure, understand development, and SQL being a widely prevalent language and preferred language here can be used. I mean, tools that enable development in SQL can be easily used for citizen development initiatives as well. There is a huge need for accessibility. There is a huge need for connected workers. There's a huge need for decentralization of data collection today, with various teams having their own processes, their digital apps to collect data. So there's a need for accessibility. There is a need for cloud deployment today in the industry. And with so many products coming up, with so much discovery happening today, there's again a need for integrations. When data is collected, how can it immediately go to the office or to the office teams, from there to the database managers, and from there to the modeling softwares, and so on and so forth, right? It's not just about, again, logging, but all kinds of processes. So with the technical know-how of the resources in the resources sector, once organizations embark on a journey of citizen development, once teams start adopting citizen development in the resources sector, it can actually help companies and teams and individuals digitize their processes much faster because of the technical know-how that's there and the need that exists in the industry today. So just recapping citizen development again for a bit, it is essentially an initiative. It is essentially a mindset that enables organizations and teams and individuals think more from a digitization perspective, adopt digital technologies, build their own processes, and go digital with all kinds of processes in a much faster manner and do all of this in-house, right? And it is enabled, I've already mentioned the word no code, low code quite a lot of times now, and it is enabled with no code, low code tools. So what are these no code, low code tools? The no code, low code tools essentially allows users embark on the citizen development initiative and start with their digitization journey by giving them a visual builder to build these applications, build these processes on the go for any kind of data management, data logging requirements that exist, right? So we'll see what is no code, low code tool in more details now. So it's essentially tools that give the ability to rapidly build and deploy application for processes and workflows without the need to write any codes, right? We want a form builder, or we want a form that collects data that allows users to enter their timesheets. It can be done immediately, right? There's no need to actually go and look for a product. The solutions are created by dragging and dropping components from visual builders. So these products typically have software components available as ingredients that can be just mixed and apps can be launched. And why do we adopt them? It reduces the time spent in development, accelerates digital transformation processes, and fosters innovation by enabling teams think more digitally and adopt more digital solutions faster, right? So that's what no-code, low-code tools helps teams achieve. It helps them rapidly build and deploy applications for any kind of, for most of their needs, and create those solutions with just a visual interface. It's like going back to the days when we were actually using MS Paint to actually start, when we started with computers and started creating sceneries on MS Paint by just dragging and dropping all the components. So it's something similar to that, but instead of creating, say, a scenery here, we're actually creating an application. It is estimated that 65% of world's apps will be built on no-code platforms, right? And these are some articles from earlier this decade, which says no-code application development is a rising and a disruptive force, right? It's being adopted by companies, organizations everywhere today. It is also estimated that larger enterprises, big enterprises, will be using at least even 4 no-code, low-code tools for delivering their solutions, and it will bring down the need for more products and more rigorous IT development much to a much lower extent. So yeah, organizations have been talking about no-code, low-code tools. I'm sure a lot of people here would have heard of form builders and form development applications. So that's what actually low-code, no-code tools helps you do. It helps you get those data collected together and build those applications together. So as we talk about the no-code, low-code tools, they typically have a drag and drop interface to configure and deliver technology solutions. Every tool is designed for, most of the tools are designed for specific kind of industries or target specific kind of business processes. For example, Wix Wix targets website development, MailChimp targets email marketing automation, and so on and so forth. But yeah, these tools typically have a drag and drop interface to configure solutions. And the typical process for implementing any kind of digital initiative is to first ideate, configure on your own, deploy, deliver, and then continue to improve, right? Delivery here means giving accesses to different users so that they can start with their data collection or with their digitizations initiative. And this is the same process is followed for all kinds of business process needs. So it's essentially, we take one, digitize it, move to the next, again, digitize it in the same manner on the same platform, take another process, digitize it again, and move forward. Sorry, yeah. So how do these tools work? They typically have a drag and drop application builder. The forms are especially, so now I'm talking about no-code, low-code tools, which are directed towards the industries. The forms are generally automatically generated. There is no need to create or design those forms as well. And users can download these applications from anywhere and can get started with it. As the data is entered into the app, most of the tools are hosted on cloud, and it's visible on the web portal for teams to start taking decisions, right? Imagine we're doing, say, a sampling or a mapping program. The teams are collecting all that data on a mobile app with location coordinates that runs offline, and it automatically is available with the manager in the office to actually see how many samples were collected each day, where was it collected, and so on and so forth. The data can then be just immediately downloaded by the database managers, and it can go to a modeling tool. With correct integrations available, it can directly go to the modeling tool as well. Most of the tools, it's not just about form, and it's not just about collecting data digitally on a form, but a lot of these tools also have notification systems, workflows, approval processes that can be configured again with a visual builder, right? So there is no need to actually, so multiple levels of approvals, multiple levels of workflows can be created, and it can be used, and it can be deployed for the solutions, right? So we're not just talking about form builders here. We're not just talking about collecting data digitally on a form on using a tablet or a mobile device, but we're also talking about building processes and triggers and workflows that complete the process, right? A lot of tools also provide dashboards and visualizations that is inbuilt, so there is no need to actually go to another product to visualize that data, to visualize the KPIs, to visualize business metrics, to actually monitor the program or monitor the activities, but it can be all done within the platform itself. So we're actually covering the application creation or the data collection systems, to processes, approvals, and workflows, to data visualizations and consumption in a single platform, and which is not even specific to a particular process, but processes can be built for any business function. And it helps then organizations and teams keep an eye on the pulse of the business and the work 24/7, right? With data being available, people can take faster decisions and better decisions. Again, it doesn't end there. So we're talking about, we've spoken about data collection, processes and workflows, visualizations, but a lot of times the data needs to flow to other products as well for further modeling and decision making. So a lot of these no-code tools do provide integrations, APIs that can be used to connect data and transact data with different products as well. So when a larger organization goes on a digital transformation journey, there can be multiple products that they still go ahead with say the no-code, low-code tool as the base for digitization, but data needs to still go into various softwares. So with integrations available in these platforms, they can help you actually transact that data in a seamless manner. A lot of these then tools also come with their own, with the ability to set your own data governance protocols. Who enters data, who views it, who approves, who can edit, with all kinds of edit logs and all available. So typically tools have grown to an extent that it covers end-to-end digitization initiatives or digital needs for different teams. There are a lot of such tools available. I mean, we speak to so many different managers and companies, and get most of the time, like, you know, that there are so many form builders available, but how do you start with one? How do you choose one? So typically organizations and teams should choose products that are built for the industry, because they support functionalities, they support software components that allow them to, that is tailored for that particular industry, right? For example, offline first, when we talk about resources sector, collecting data in an offline manner is one of the most important things for any digital transformation initiatives. So a lot of these no-code tools are actually built now for these industries. There are readily available, a lot of them again have readily available base packages to start with for easier implementation and adoption. So you're actually not going through the build cycle from starting. There are a set of processes that are available. Just adapt, change, according to what your processes are, and you can get started with these tools, right? And the good thing about citizen development and no-code tools is that they help you digitize multiple processes on the same platform. And of course, initiatives can be taken for each of these processes over time. Implementation and product support. I think when we're talking about giving power to managers to be able to build their own apps, implementation and product support is very, very important. So again, how do you choose these products is when they provide implementation and product support as well, so that you can get started with it, and it's not another, say, failed digital transformation initiative. And then we've spoken at length about integratability. Integrations is the key to ever evolving digital transformation needs, and tools that allow you to integrate are probably the best ones that can help you build a more digital workforce. To get started, typically with these tools, the process is, again, defining your processes. Example of a process can be mapping or timesheets monitoring, or there's so many processes that run in the resources industry or that run with field teams. Define what your data capturing fields are, what your data structures are, build those on the applications or use the templates, set the workflows and approvals and visualize data and start making decisions, right? Typically, what we've seen also is that it takes 2 weeks for any organization to start with their digital transformation journey and get that first process going, right? So we're reducing the time from months to just a few days or a couple of weeks in actually getting started with citizen development, right? So that's how no-code, low-code tools help you get started with your digital transformation journey. Once the first process is identified, once the fields are built, once the apps are ready and the monitoring solutions are up and running, typically the biggest way to succeed with no code or with digital transformation journeys to create internal champions. We're not relying on external helps now to actually build solutions. So it's typically created with the organizations that create internal champions to lead the digital transformation initiative, succeed faster and succeed in a better manner. And then, of course, we've spoken at length about the process. It's build, configure, test, and improve constantly. The key advantages being faster change management and user adoption with no code and citizen development, right? So we're talking about how organizations here can embark on citizen development with no code, low code tools, build their own processes or adopt base packages and base processes, customize them or configure them, and get started with the digital transformation journey. Often all these different kinds of processes, it's a list, not of course an exhaustive list of processes, but a lot of these various business processes are typically done on different applications, right? So production monitoring, there'll be a separate app that is running. Logging and sampling, there is again a separate app that's running. Inventories and stocks are being managed in other products. So all of these different processes that relates to health and safety, environmental audits today, shift planning, quality monitoring can actually come on a single platform for any team, right? Or for any company. Once the data resides on a single platform, all kinds of monitoring solutions can be made available for users so that faster decisions are being taken, right? And this is what citizen development and low-code, no-code tools help you achieve with those tools, of course. So wrapping up my session with some of the key advantages that organizations that organizations get in adopting these tools and adopting the citizen development initiative is that they can first help to scale your digital transformation initiative without actually going everywhere to look for tools. And products have evolved in a manner today that they help teams build enterprise-grade applications for end-to-end digitizations, right? Approximately 60% more cost-effective because you're not subscribing to multiple products or hiring an external IT development team to build your products or build your programs together. It saves on technology, infrastructure, maintenance, and operational costs. The typically products are cloud and mobile first, so runs on remote locations, runs on mobile devices for data management, and helps organizations get away with multiple apps and products. They also help teams in going digital 75% faster than traditional IT initiatives, than traditional app development. We're not spending months on coding, on development, but rather just a few weeks in actually designing the process, building those applications, and training the users. One of the biggest, again, advantages is user feedback. A lot of digital transformation initiatives fail in early stage because once the development completes and users give feedback, again, there is a development cycle. Until then, probably either the users have changed, or the environment has changed, or the process has evolved, and so on and so forth. So citizen development and rapid digitization with these products actually help teams in taking those user feedback, incorporating them in a much faster manner, and getting that user acceptance from the end users to actually start going digital with their initiatives, right? It helps teams build a unified data and operations platform, and of course own your data on your own tools, and bring all data together. So yeah, that's wrapping up on what the concept of citizen development is, and what are the modern tools, what are the modern initiatives in the industry, and how organizations can actually embark on a citizen development journey with these no-code, low-code tools here. Thank you so much, everyone.